Hello, I'm Ashley Martin, and this is my presentation on the research paper we had to write about the career within criminal justice that we chose. I chose crime scene investigator or forensic scientist. The reason I chose that is because it is my chosen career path that I'm currently working towards. I decided to do a video because I thought it might be fun. I'm actually in a forensics class as well right now, and I had to kind of create this prop, and it is right in line with writing this paper, so I thought, why not kind of use it for this as well? So I will show that in a minute, but first I'll just kind of highlight what I wrote in the paper. So essentially, forensic scientists, the forensic sciences rather, is basically just like a huge umbrella of different kind of career pathways that you can take. There are tons. So there's entomology, botany, latent fingerprints, microbial, pathologists. There are, basically, there's a lot. But for this paper, I just kind of chose like a crime scene investigator, so CSI, to kind of focus on. This, it really became kind of popular in the 2000s, I'd say. With shows, TV shows like CSI Miami, Forensic Files, that kind of thing. So we're all kind of aware of kind of what they do. They, go to the scene, they collect evidence, and then they, take it back to a lab, process it scientifically, and see if it has any validity in, whatever the suspect or story that they have. So basically, for crime scene investigator, during the research that I was going through, so depending on what agency you go in, what state you're in, they all kind of have vastly different requirements. One thing I can say is that overall, it does seem that you need at least a bachelor's degree to be a crime scene investigator. Bachelor's in forensic science or a related science, and then there are other programs and stuff that kind of get you in the door. Like you can do internships, and some associate's degrees will work for certain things if you're just an assistant with things. So there's ways to kind of get in before you get your bachelor's if you try hard enough. But essentially, the different agencies that might hire you federally, state, locally, they're all going to want different things. So it's kind of just got to start doing it and hopefully find, what you're looking for. But like I said, definitely at least get your bachelor's. You can even go for master's, doctorate, whatever the case may be, whatever specialty you're looking to get into. So, and then as far as pay, so I think on average, the median is 63,000 annually. I think it can be as low as 49 in some places and as high as 83 in other places. So the median about 63, which is great. The job growth is pretty decent. I think it was a 12.6% increase over the next 10 years. So there should be, a good amount of jobs opening up throughout the country in this line of work. And then I'm just going to kind of go over what duties they typically have. So one is they document the scene. So a lot of times they're the first on the scene and they have to survey the area. They have to take lots of photographs in a very specific way. They have to, have a sketch of the scene, that kind of thing. And then next they have to collect the evidence. So there's very specific ways that you have to collect each piece of evidence, whether it be hair, bodily fluid, bullet casings. They all have to be, you know, collected in a specific way as to not damage it or, you know, disrupt it before we can get it back to the lab to analyze it. Another one is processing that evidence. Obviously, when you get it back to the lab, there are specialized equipment, there's chemicals, there's a very specific way you have to do the actual testing of whatever it is, fibers and things like that. They have to go through that very specific and very carefully so that, again, not to damage it. They have to preserve the evidence. So there's ways that it has to be transported correctly, ways that it has to be stored in certain packages, depending on what it is, whether it's, you know, whether it needs a breathable environment or whether it doesn't need a breathable environment, that kind of thing. Another one is preparing reports. So reports are super important, specifically for the criminal justice side of it, because oftentimes you might get called to the stand and you need to be able to prove how you came to the conclusion that you did about whatever piece of evidence is that you processed. If you can't prove that you did it lawfully and accurately, then it could be tossed out of court. So it's very important that you keep all those records. Another thing I'll kind of just talk about is the fact that it's not an easy job. I found a website that had a bunch of actual people that work in the system, and they all said a lot of the same thing, being that it can take a toll on you. Emotionally, it's a very heavy thing to have to kind of see some of that stuff. You can't unsee it. You won't ever forget it, that kind of thing. So if you're not comfortable and prepared, and you know, I think having a really good support system at home for yourself would be kind of crucial if you're going to do this line of work, just because it's not going to be easy some of the times. And, you know, the rewarding aspect is great, but, you know, the job's not for everyone. So it's just something to kind of keep in mind. So I think with that, to kind of basically cover all of the main components, what I wanted to do is just really quick show you the prop that I had mentioned before. So I'm just gonna pull this away. So what I have here is a crime scene. So essentially this was a crime that was committed back in 1832. It was a prostitute that got murdered, and essentially I had to recreate the whole scene, and I had to kind of do little evidence tags and things like that. Sorry, I'm kind of trying to do this on my huge table. So there's evidence tags, there's, you know, here's the body and it's got blood and there's blood spatter on the floor. And then, you know, you just kind of have to lay out the scene exactly how it was, and, you know, where all the evidence was located at the time. So again, that's just kind of a cool thing. I thought maybe it would be fun to show you guys so that I wasn't just boring talking on the video. But yeah, okay, I guess I'll end it there. That's actually kind of a long video, sorry. Okay. Bye, thanks.